first of all, the setup. How do we, or what do we have to set up for iFacto ReVision? First of all, as I said already, on all PCs that connect to NAV. So all PCs of your developers. It is a next, I agree, finish, next, install, like you expect from just a .NET software. So it's quite easy to install. It takes only half a minute. I actually already created some kind of YouTube movie of that. It's very easy. Okay, when you installed ReVision, and now I go to ReVision itself. So let me open my environment. I hope everyone sees this. This is my virtual environment. Everything is installed into the virtual environment. So there's SQL, there are some ReVision or NAV clients, and there is ReVision installed. There is SourceSafe installed. So everything is on the remote, this machine. Okay, so when I open ReVision, the first thing you actually have to do is set your own settings, your personal settings, me as a developer. And that you can find here. And yeah, you can use your favorite compare and merge tool, which you can set up. My favorite is Araxis Merge. You can use your favorite editor. My favorite is Notepad++, but a lot of developers are also using Ultra Edit or Notepad or anything. Just it's going to use these tools during your iFacto ReVision experience. And then have to settings like you have to, at least me wants to start it up automatically when Windows starts. There are some hotkeys available, so you don't have to use the mouse all the time, and things like that. Now, a few of these components we'll talk about further on in the presentation. Now, you notice that I unchecked one, the automatic check-in. Now, ReVision is going to watch the developers, how they are, of what they are doing in the client. And when they are going into design, it will automatically check out. But when you go out of design, it could automatically check in as well. Some people prefer that. Me don't really prefer that, because that is going to create a version of the object every time you save and every time you exit the object. Now, of course, the advantage is that people don't forget to check in, but the disadvantage is that you get a lot of versions of this object. So this is actually my favorite setup. So that's the client level setup. Next is actually we have to set up a repository. We have to connect to a central database where all changes of all objects will be saved. As I said, we support Team Foundation Server and SourceSafe. On the roadmap is Subversion, which is already about 80 or 85% finished. But you have to set it up. Developers have to connect to a repository. Now, what I did here, I connected to a local repository, which is, in my case, Visual SourceSafe, because that's the most easy to install on a virtual machine. So it is this one. And it's just when I connect to it and I create a project in it, the project is local repository in this case, then I can add some databases to it. Now, normally, I don't want to work in the SourceSafe itself or in a Team Foundation server itself or in Visual Studio to check in and check out my objects. I want to work in NAV and in the background on ReVision. So what I did is actually just I connected by adding a new repository and giving a name local repository and set some settings of VSS, and that's where I got this. As you can see, these are the settings of my Visual SourceSafe. Now, that's actually all I have to do as a developer. Okay, I will work on this. Now, locally at iFacto, We have a number of repositories. I have some local repositories on my laptop, just for my local databases. There are some default databases of products and default databases of just default NAV products. And all the changes are actually stored on my local repository because just not too important. Now you also have the foundation server set up with some collections, and all these collections I added separately on my repository list. So for every product we have a separate repository. And per repository, we have different databases in the repository, like a test and release 1, 2, 3 of every product. So you can play with that. You can play with how you want to structure your repository and how you connect your clients. Now, as you see in this case, I added 3 databases, which is actually the 3rd level where you can set some things up. I added 3 databases to my local repository. You can see the properties of a database. This is actually just giving it a name, like your customer name and the type of database, like development database, and the settings to which repository it is linked to. And here at the bottom, you can see what we are working on as well is a task management plugin, a connection with your local task management. And we'll go deeper into that when we talk about the roadmap. And the check-in mandatory. I want every developer who's working on this database to check in, to give check-in comments. Every time they check in, they have to give a comment like a task ID or a description what they have been doing for this change. And this way you can make it mandatory. So that's a database setting. Everyone that's working with this database has to do that. So that's actually all about the setup. Once the repository is set up and filled with databases, another user that is connected to the same repository will have these databases already set up, of course. They don't have to set these settings anymore, and they can use whatever that's already in the repository. Let me switch back to my PowerPoint.